So when I was young, I took this test on 16 personalities, and I got this. ISFP, don't remember if it's A or T though. It's been a while. And me not having any idea what to record today, thought, am I different? Will I get a different result if I took this test today? So that's why we're doing this. Not gonna lie, I actually had a lot of inspiration from Jacksepticeye when he did the video taking this exact test 3 years later. But I am legitimately curious if anything's changed at all. If I'm able to get like a different result at all. I don't know, but we'll see. You make friends easily. Honestly, nowadays, I'm not exactly. I mean, I'm not the type of person who swears off making friends or thinks it's really difficult, but I'm not exactly the type of guy. I'm getting distracted by stuff on my phone. I'm not the type of guy who's like gonna pop the question I was gonna say. I'm not the type to start off the conversation. I'm very nervous when it comes to meeting new people. I mean, Christ, most of the time I meet new friends from other friends, so slightly disagree. Only slightly. What it means to lead a good life is a question that you return to again and again. What does that mean? I have no idea what that means. What it means to lead a good life is a question that you return to again and again. The only question I return to again and again is, am I alive? And not a dick. That's the only thing I think. I honestly don't know. Oh wait, is this the question? What it means to lead a good life? I guess slightly agree, because I always try to make sure I'm not being a dick sometimes. Or that's probably the problem when it comes to like doing these types of quizzes for a video. I think Jack already mentioned this in his video, but trying to actually take your time on quizzes like this for a video, it's a pain in the ass. Because you have to keep talking, you have to keep the video going, but at the same time, you want to get like an honest, you want to give your best and honest answer, but that takes a lot of time, and when it comes to making videos, you can't just sit around doing nothing. But you know what? I have the power of editing, so I'm gonna do that. Okay, I'm gonna say slightly agree, because I do sometimes ask myself what it means. It's not the thing that I return to over and over and over again, but I do sometimes ask the question, make sure I'm not screwing anything up, and try to be sure that I'm not just make sure I'm not being a dick and screwing myself in the process. See, that the way I worded that made it sound like I could have my cake and eat it too, but I digress. Seeing other people cry can easily make you feel like you want to cry too. Strongly agree. Definitely. Especially when it comes to the circumstances of them crying. That shit it's just really hard to keep it together when you like seeing someone break down. It's just, at least for me it is. You always do your best to prepare for potential obstacles in advance. You do your best to prepare for potential obstacles in advance. Sometimes, it really depends on the situation. Or the obstacle. Like, sometimes the obstacle can be so big that, like, okay, is there a way I can, like, make sure I'm not fucking anything up, or that this obstacle doesn't screw me up at all? But sometimes the obstacle can be so small that it doesn't really require any planning at all. You just go through it. Again, it's probably different for other people, but still, that's just the way I see it. I'm gonna say slightly agree. You usually stay calm even under a lot of pressure. Again, it really depends on the situation. My God, I'm saying a lot of things that Jack is saying, aren't I? God. Well, for me, I usually do try and stay calm but it doesn't always work. Sometimes there's always that little thing that throws me off my game. And I always usually have to have someone else that's like, hey, don't worry, you can do this and this and that. And I'm like, oh, okay, good. It happens sometimes. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the middle ground on this one. At social events, you rarely try to meet new people and mostly talk to the ones you already know. Yes, definitely. I do that. Concrete facts and details, not theories and ideas, are what stick in your memory. Concrete facts and details. What do you define as concrete facts and details? Because I swear to God, the glare is on my glasses looks like I'm like that nerdy kid in every anime that pushes up their glasses and then there's like a glare in their eye. It's really weird. Concrete facts and details, not theories and ideas. Well, I guess that depends on what your definition of concrete facts and details or theories or ideas are. Because if you mean conspiracy theories and ideas that the government is watching us, or that vaccines cause autism, then no, yeah, those things are just... They stick in my mind the most because they make me the most pissed off. Okay, not conspiracy theories, but the autism vaccine thing, definitely. I have autism. I would know. Eggy, please stop. What? Everyone just keeps trying to play a game today. What the hell? I really gotta figure out how to mute that shit. Anyways, where was I? I completely lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, I have autism. I can tell you for a fact that it wasn't because of vaccines. I was born with this shit. It's been a thing that's stuck with me since I was born. That's an actual term that people use, definitely. Point is, that fact is bullshit, and I still can't fucking believe people believe in that shit. Okay, I'm gonna go with slightly disagree, because honestly, it really depends on what these things are, specifically. Like, what concrete facts, what details, what theories, what ideas. If we're talking about in a debate, concrete facts and details are definitely what we need, but theories and ideas, no. But like, this is just asking what sticks in your mind specifically. So, wait, if that's the case, then yeah, no. They all stick in my mind depending on what they are. You are very sentimental. Let me look up the actual definition of sentimental because I'm stupid. Of or prompted by feelings of tenderness, sadness, or nostalgia. Yes. I am very prone to that stuff. Well, I guess, wait, actually, go back. Reel it back. Only in the middle ground. I am still very sentimental, but let's be honest, recent events just make me question if we're even gonna make it to the year 3000. That was a terrible... Translation to normal people terms, my faith in humanity is slightly lower than it was before. There are usually certain specific ways you like to do things. Usually certain specific ways. That is definitely true in my case, but I am open to doing new things, but I definitely do prefer doing things my way. I am up to suggestions and ideas and other ways of doing stuff, but I usually try to stick to my comfort zone because that's when I know how to do the best. Because usually when I try to do another thing in another way, or even the same thing in another way, it just turns out worse because I'm not used to doing it yet. But once I understand how that specific idea works, how that way of doing things is done, getting a grip on like how to do it, then I can definitely do it. But yeah, I do like to stick to my comfort zone, unfortunately, to a fault sometimes. Even a small mistake can cause you to doubt your overall abilities and knowledge. Oh God, that can sometimes really mess up my game. Again, not all the time, only middle of the road agree, but sometimes, especially as of late, I've always been paranoid about, like, am I truly that good at something? Like, or am I right about certain things? Specifically when it comes to art and, hell, sometimes even certain aspects of making videos, because sometimes, excuse me, sometimes there's this one specific thing that I'm just like, oh god, I could have done that better, or, and it just makes me doubt, like, if I even know what I'm doing sometimes. Again, that's not always the case, but sometimes, yeah, I tend to let it get to me. I always have to put myself back in reality and be like, I have to look at it, like, objectively sometimes, just so I can remember that, that I do, to an extent, know what I'm doing sometimes, and that I'm not always wrong. You feel comfortable just walking up to someone you find interesting and striking up a conversation. Okay, again, this depends really on the person, because let's be honest, most of the people I find interesting that... Wait. I was about to say most of the people I find interesting are online or at conventions, like YouTubers, but is that true? Yeah, no, that's not true. I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, that really goes back to the first question, because, again, I'm not the first one to strike up a conversation. I am open to meeting new people, but I'm always very, very, very nervous when it comes to doing so. I'm always nervous. There's always just a tint of anxiety, even if I'm really interested in that person. It's just... It really depends. So I guess it's either slightly agree or slightly disagree. I would pick neutral, but I'm trying to go no neutral or very little neutral. So, there's gonna be a lot of me editing out like silence. You feel comfortable just walking up to someone you find interesting and striking up a conversation? Slightly disagree. Slightly. Only slightly, because I'm not completely comfortable with it, but if they pique my interest, like, I do, it does make it a little easier to be like, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, instead of being like, oh, why bother? I don't really feel like talking to anyone anyways, you know? I don't know if this is making any sense, I'm sorry. I tend to speak a lot of nonsense. Discussing various interpretations and analyses of a work of art is really not that interesting to you. Not really. I mean, it depends on the art form. Like, if we're talking about the meaning and definitions of the Mona Lisa, yeah, I guess that could be a thing. That's something I'm not really interested in, but when it comes to forms of art I'm interested in, definitely. Various interpretations of a work of art. It really depends on the art form, honestly. Like, what's this test's definition of art? Like, what most people in society consider art, or what the person taking the quiz considers art? I really don't know. You're more inclined to follow your head than your heart. Slightly disagree. I tend to let my emotions get the better of me sometimes, which again is why sometimes it's like the doubt question thing. I have to go back and I have to think before I act, before I do anything, but sometimes it really does tend to get the better of me. Wait, wouldn't that be like here? Trying to follow your head, then your heart. Yeah, okay, yeah, middle of the road disagree, if you're going by what I said. Even when you plan a particular daily routine, you usually just end up doing what you feel like at any given moment. Yeah, unfortunately, that tends to be... Yeah. I do my best. I try to, like, stick to a schedule if I need to. I mean, Christ, I've been meaning to lose weight, and I've been trying to think of a plan to, like, play the game Ring Fit Adventure, because that is a really good workout game, and it actually gets me up and moving, but at the same time, like, it's still a game, and if I try to force myself to play the game, I might not enjoy it as much. So, You're just kind of a mess. You rarely work about whether you make a good impression on people you meet. Slightly disagree. Again, that question really varies on the situation and the person. You enjoy participating in group activities. Slightly agree, because once again, people, it depends on the situation, on the people. I don't know how they're gonna act. It could be my close friends, it could be like my worst enemies, it could be people that I may not know, but I work really well with. It could be people I don't know and they absolutely refuse to do the work. Totally has not ever happened to me before, totally. But when you actually get that good group of friends or that good group of people you may not know, but you actually bounce off each other and you're able to work together really well, yeah, I enjoy it. But most of the time I prefer to work alone. You like books and movies that make you work to figure out what they are really about. Now this one goes back to the art thing. There's a lot of questions that go back to previous questions. Because, honestly, these situations are kind of vague. I don't really read a lot of books and don't watch a lot of movies anymore. Well, I never really liked reading books. It depends on the book, okay? I'm not much of a reader. But, yeah. But when it comes to the media I do love, YouTube videos, TV shows, video games, when it comes to them trying to make you figure out what they are really about, I'm a lot more inclined to let other people do it or try and discuss it with them and try to figure out something rather than doing it myself, because when I do it myself, there's always that part of me that's just like, am I really right though? Am I on the right track? It's just, yeah. You do your best to make others' feelings into account when deciding something. Yes. Though there is that tinge of selfish desires. And it goes back to, and I have to objectify it, make sure I'm not doing anything wrong. To make sure I'm not, like, being a prick. But there is definitely that tinge of, oh, but I want to do this. It's dumb. You do your best to make other people... I'm rereading this real quick, hold on. You do your best to take others' feelings into account when deciding... Yes, definitely. You prefer to completely finish one project before starting another? Well, for me it depends on the project, but most of the time it's definitely yes. You are prone to worrying that things will take a turn for the worse. Yes, fucking definitely. It goes back that I'm always worried that I'm always going to turn into a shitty person if I'm not careful. I'm always paranoid about that stuff. You avoid leadership roles in group settings. Yeah, I tend to do that a lot. I'm not very confident in myself as a leader. I like to do my own thing. Be my own boss, be my own leader, because when it comes to managing stuff, I'm not good at judging a lot of people when it comes to skill and character. At least when it comes to, like, leadership stuff, because inevitably, there's always going to be that one thing that I miss. That one thing that I overlook. That one thing that could possibly tear the entire thing apart. But if I absolutely have to, and there's no other options, I will take it. But other than that, I really try to be part of the people who are being told what to do, because at least if it's my fault, I can try and fix it in some way, shape, or fashion. At least I hope. You're definitely not an artistic type of person. Again, that depends on what you mean by artistic. Only slightly agree. Only slightly. You think the world would be a better place if people relied more on rationality and less on their feelings? Well, no. Having feelings is what makes us human. If we did nothing but rationality, we'd basically be causing genocides because of other people being different or having less skills than certain people. Having feelings is what makes us who we are. So, no. But that doesn't mean it's perfect. It does not by all means mean it's perfect. I almost went with completely disagree, but then my mind kicked in. There are definitely some things that are complete bullshit that come out of people not using their heads. But if we completely relied on it, that just wouldn't work out either. There'll always be some sort of gray area. You prefer to do your chores before allowing yourself to relax. Thanks to school, I do tend to do a lot of procrastinating, sadly, so slightly agree. Your mood can change very quickly. With the wandering my brain does, I could definitely say yes. Frequent alone time is a necessity for you. That I can definitely agree with. I don't enjoy alone time all the time, especially when it comes to being online. But I do prefer having that set of alone time just have to myself to collect my thoughts and just to let it all loose, let it all go, just take a deep breath and just let it out. You like hearing different perspectives on social or political issues. Really depends on the person. Like if they're being agreeable or if they're being a prick or if they're just straight up a prick. It really depends on how on A, what it is, and B, who you're discussing it with. Because there can be people you disagree with, but you don't have to be a complete prick about it. Like, a thing that a lot of people nowadays seem to neglect. Sometimes myself included, but you get the idea. You'd rather work with a competent person than a nice one. Honestly, only slightly agree. But only because if that competent person is a dick, I don't want to be with them. Period. I want there to be like a nice balance between a nice person and a competent person. I want them to be able to do their job without being a complete prick about it. That's a fucking deal breaker for me if you're a prick. Even if you're good at what you are, you can still be a complete asshole. You ought to end up doing things at the last possible moment. Well, I've been getting better at this, honestly, but there are definitely some things that I should do at the last possible minute, sadly. But slightly disagree. Or should I click slightly agree? I'm dumb. I have to think a lot before I make a definitive answer. You often end up doing things at the last possible moment. Do I? I'm not honestly sure if I do. And if I do, it's not too often. I don't think. Your emotions control you more than you control them. No. No, they don't. They control me very slightly, but I always try to make sure I'm not letting them control me completely. Because if I did, I would not... Let's just say I wouldn't have that many friends, because I can be a complete prick if I let my emotions get to me. I really don't like that about myself. It's that one thing that I really wish I could change, but I know if I did, I just wouldn't be me. You usually prefer to be around others rather than on your own. Only if they're people I trust, yes. You become bored or lose interest when the discussion gets highly theoretical. I genuinely don't know. Because I don't know what that means. If I did, I'd probably be a little bit more confident in my answer, but I don't know what that means. This isn't like the one where I'm reading it wrong. I don't think, but I just genuinely have no idea. You become bored or lose interest in the discussion, gets highly theoretical. I guess slightly disagree. Because even stuff like hypothesis can result in... I'm going to go with slightly disagree. I'm not going to do neutral. You find it easy to empathize with a person whose experiences are very different from yours. Depends on the person, but let's go slightly agree. You usually postpone finalizing decisions for as long as possible. I try my best to not do that. It is sometimes a bit of a habit of mine, but yeah, slightly disagree. Or actually, no, yeah. You rarely second guess the choices that you have made. No. I do that a lot. After a long and exhausting week, a lively social event is what you need. No! I need time for myself! The last thing I need is to use more energy when I have so little to begin with. You often contemplate the reasons for human existence or the meaning of life. Sometimes I do, but not really. You often have a hard time understanding other people's feelings. It depends on the person, but again, I usually try to see things the way other people do, and sometimes I can losing my train of thought here. I try to see the world through other people's eyes, see how they see the world, their experiences, and how that shapes them sometimes. Sometimes it can be pretty hard to do that, depending on, like, the person or my experiences with that person, but I do at least try. Doesn't always work out, sadly, but I always do want to try. You like to have a to-do list for each day. No, not really. You rarely feel insecure. Only slightly agree. I mean, there are definitely times where I feel insecure. I don't know, but it's definitely not rarely. But, I don't know if it's as often as I think. Probably not. Let me think on it real quick. I don't think so. At least, again, not as often as I think. You can spend an entire weekend all by yourself without feeling bored. Sometimes I can, sometimes I don't. It's a bit of a toss-pot, but I'm going to go with this. You spend time and effort trying to understand views and positions that are very different from your own. How strongly do I agree with this? Because this is one's definitely in the agree section. But how often... Usually when I don't take this test, it's a no-brainer. But actually given, like, this shit, it's just... I never know how strongly I agree or disagree. I just know I agree or disagree. Yes, I do. Sadly, again, sometimes emotions tend to take over. But I do at least try to see it through the other people's eyes. You often talk about your feelings and emotions. How often do I do that? I'm gonna go with this. I do know I do, but I don't know how often I do it. I don't pay attention to how often I do certain things like that. If your plans are interrupted, your top priority is getting back on track as soon as possible. Slightly agree. There is a point where I'm just like, okay, nothing is gonna go as I planned. Fuck my plans, I'll do it some other time. Because sometimes it gets to that point. But I do like trying to get it back on track. But it's just like, sometimes you just gotta throw in the towel and just say, fuck it. Your plans are never always gonna go as planned. You are still... God damn it! You are still bothered by a mistake that you made a long time ago. Slightly agree. Though usually that happens when I don't get enough sleep. In your social circle, you are often the one who contacts your friends and initiates actions. Not all the time, but sometimes I do. Only sometimes, but it's very rare, so slightly disagree. Josh, for the love of God! I need to... oh my God! Okay, I need to figure out how to turn that stuff off. Alright, crisis averted. Let's get back to what we were doing. You believe that pondering abstract philosophical questions is a waste of time. I don't do it personally, but absolutely, like, neglecting it entirely, no. That's not something that I agree anyone should do. Like, neglecting this, something like that entirely, it's just dumb. Like, even if you don't personally do something like this yourself, like I do, what's the point of, like, neglecting it? I mean, Christ. You take great care not to make people feel foolish when you're explaining something. Yeah, I always try to make sure I'm not spouting nonsense whenever I'm explaining something. Unless that's not what you're saying. You take a great care not to make people feel foolish when you're explaining something. Well, yeah. I mean, when you're explaining something, just making them feel like an idiot isn't going to make them learn anything. It's just going to make them resent asking the question in the first place. Or even trying to get help. Or trying to learn at all. Like, it just makes them think that if they do anything wrong, they should just stop doing whatever they're doing and just completely give up. At least that's how it is for me. I hate it when someone tries to explain something and they're just like, you're stupid for not knowing this. You're dumb for doing it this way. Let me show you how to do it, you fucking idiot. Like, it's just dumb. Unless the person is truly being an idiot. Like, just being a complete dumbass. I probably neglected everything I say, but what I mean to say is, if someone is legitimately trying to learn about something, or makes a mistake, or makes a genuine mistake, making them feel like a dumbass isn't gonna make them learn, or make them want to learn. But if someone is actually playing the part of the fool, and is trying to not learn something, or is like standing their ground, doubling down on the dumb thing, and acting like a child, then yes, definitely. That's what I was trying to say. Your personal work style is closer to spontaneous bursts of energy than organization and consistent efforts. Slightly agree. There are spontaneous bursts of energy help a lot when it comes to my workflow, but I have been trying to get into the act of just doing it and getting it out whenever I need to. Or if I want to do something, not like making videos, not God damn it. Or when it comes to doing stuff like art or making videos, stuff that I genuinely like doing, not relying on motivation or just sudden bursts of inspiration to do something. Like making this video, I was honestly perfectly content with playing Scott Pilgrim or Bug Fables on my Switch. But I knew if I didn't do it now, I wouldn't do it later, and I really wanted to do this. So I'm doing it. Even if I question if I want to do... Okay, not that. I'm not questioning if I wanted to do this. It was just like, oh, should I wait until I'm inspired or feel like doing it? No. If I want to do it, I have to do it instead of relying on my body being like, oh, I want to do something. So yeah, when someone thinks highly of you, you wonder how long it will take them to feel disappointed in you. Well, not really. Honestly, like, I'm more focused on trying to make sure I'm not a dick and hurting their feelings But again, that depends on what your definition of that is. Because for some people feel insecure about themselves, feel like if they're themselves at all, that they'll disappoint people. I don't feel that way personally, but I do feel like I can disappoint them if I'm a dick, if I'm a complete asshole. Like, if I neglect their feelings and only go mine, then yes. I always try to think about that. I always try to make sure that I'm on guard in that point specifically. First and foremost, there are definitely other things that I could be focusing on as well, but I always try to make sure I'm just not a complete garbage person. You would love a job that requires you to work alone most of the time. And I mean, I guess YouTube counts because I really want to do this as a job, but sometimes I like doing stuff with other people. I don't always have to do everything alone. You're always curious about why something happened the way it did. That depends on the thing, but I am always one to ask questions sometimes, but other times, whenever, like, something happens, I'm either like, oh, it happened because of this, and I just try not to bother. Or I'm just like, I mean, that's cool, but do I really need to know? What am I saying? I don't know. I'm just gonna go with this. I'm always curious to ask questions, though sometimes I'm content to just leave it as it is. That's what I was trying to say. Christ. You know at first glance how someone is feeling. Yeah. Sometimes some people are really good at hiding it, but yeah. I always try to make sure I'm not pushing. There are definitely some things that I am very much, like, completely oblivious to. But yes. You complete things methodically without skipping over any steps. I do try to do that, but there are definitely times where I'm just like, fuck it, and just go with it. It depends on the task, essentially. It really has high reliance on the task and what I'm doing, if I'm learning anything, or if this thing absolutely requires it, or if I know what to do. I don't know. It depends. It really depends. You often feel overwhelmed. Not really. You feel more drawn to places with busy, bustling atmospheres than quiet, intimate places. Yeah. No, I'm not a fan of crowds or bustling stuff. I'm not a fan of that. You prefer art that has a clear message or meaning rather than art that is vague and open to interpretation. That's what I prefer, but that doesn't mean I'm completely against stuff that requires interpretation. There are definitely some stuff that people say requires interpretation that I just do not at all agree with. But then again, neglecting that form entirely is just foolish. Sometimes it's good to ask questions. Sometimes it's good to try and interpret it by yourself or discuss it with another person. It just seems foolish to try and neglect interpretation entirely, because without it, we wouldn't be asking questions in the first place. If you think your actions might upset others, you are very careful to assess whether they are worth it. Yes. Again, trying to make sure I'm not an asshole. You struggle with deadlines. Depends. But there are times where I definitely do. I'm not a fan of deadlines. You feel confident that things will work out for you. No. I do try and be a little more confident, but most of the time just like, I always try to make sure that I'm prepared if things don't go my way. Because let's be honest, life just fucking can throw a wrench into anything you have and completely change the way your day goes entirely. So I usually try to make sure that I'm not that I try to make sure that I'm cocky. No, I try to make sure that I'm confident without being cocky. Jesus. But cautiously optimistic. That. Fucking hell. Oh. Your personality type is Advocate. INFJT. Huh. To be honest, I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting to just get another, like, one of the Explorer categories at the least. This is not something I was talking about. The thinking. This trait determines how we interact with our environment. That's definitely true. This trait shows how when you interact our mental energy. Intuitive and observant. It's very close to a 50-50, but yeah, intuitive definitely wins over observant. But again, I try not to be overly intuitive. Nature. The trait determines how we make decisions and cope with emotions. Thinking and feeling. I would have thought that I do a bit more thinking than this. I mean, feelings would definitely win, but I would have thought that thinking would just be a little bit higher in the percentage in this case. If we're talking about how we cope with emotions and whatnot. Tactics. This trait reflects on approach to work, planning, and decision-making. Judging and prospecting. I know what judging is, I think. But let me, what does prospecting mean? People with a prospecting personality trait can be slow to commit to something because of uncertainty or the potential for everything else. Oh, okay. So, yeah, again, it's another 50-50, but judging takes over most of the time. Identity. This trait underpins all other what? This trait underpins? What the fuck does underpins mean? I'm going to Google a lot for definitions, but that's because I'm not grammatically smart. Forgive me, I'm still learning to be more grammatically competent. Oh, so it's basically like the base of everything? The thing that supports everything together? Not just for buildings? I'm not going by the building thing? I promise. My camera is shaking a lot. Probably because my desk is not very stable, because there's some screws missing. Anyways, this trait underpins all others, showing how confident we are in our abilities and decisions. Assertive and turbulent. Oh, God damn it, another one! Fuck! Characterized by conflict, disorder, or confusion. Okay. I guess nowadays I am a lot more turbulent than I am assertive. But there's no fucking way I'm gonna let assertive die. At least I think that's what it means. I don't know. Alright, let's read up. Copy of your results. Before I move on to your profile, would you like to copy your results? A copy of your results emailed to you? Yeah, sure, why not? Alright. Let's see what 16 personalities says I am nowadays. Treat people as if they were or what they ought to be, and you help them to become what they are capable of being. Pretty cool. Advocates are the rarest personality type of all. Still, advocates leave their mark on the world. Really? I didn't think it was any of these things, personality types. I didn't think any of these personality types were rare, per se. They have a deep sense of idealism and integrity, but they aren't idle dreamers. They take concrete steps to realize their goals and make a lasting impact. Advocates' unique combination of personality traits makes them complex and quite versatile. For example, advocates can speak with great passion and conviction, especially when standing up for their ideals. At other times, however, they may choose to be soft-spoken and understated, preferring to keep the peace rather than challenging others. Yeah, because sometimes some of my ideas are completely stupid, no matter how much I agree with them myself, because they're my ideas. Not all ideas are great, but I don't know what I'm saying. I'm sorry. I'm not used to videos like this where I try to speak for myself. God damn it. Standing up for what's right. Advocates generally strive to do what's right, and they stand to help create a world where others do the right thing as well. People with this personality type may feel called to use their strengths, including creativity, imagination, and sensitivity, to uplift others and spread compassion. Concepts like egalitarianism? How do I pronounce that? Concepts like egalitarianism and karma can mean a great deal to advocates. I love how they portray this with the king with skulls right there. Advocates may see helping others as their purpose in life. They are troubled by injustice, and they typically care more about altruism than personal gain. As a result, advocates tend to step in when they see someone facing unfairness or hardship. Many people with this personality type also aspire to fix society's deeper problems, in the hope that unfairness and hardships can become things of the past. Sometimes I really wish I could be able to do that myself. That's great grammar. Sometimes I truly do wish I could do that, but as of now, I'm just a douchebag recording videos in their room. Nothing lights up advocates like creating a solution that changes people's lives. Connecting with others and themselves. Advocates may be reserved, but they communicate in a way that is warm and sensitive. This emotional honesty and insight can make a powerful impression on people around them. Advocates value deep, authentic relationships with others, and they tend to take my freaking mouth is being dry. And they tend to take great care with others' people's feelings. That said, these personalities also need to prioritize reconnecting with themselves. Advocates need to take time alone now and then to decompress, recharge, and process their thoughts and feelings. That's kind of like what I said earlier. Damn. What the fuck? Cost of success. At times, advocates may focus so intently on their ideals that they don't take care of themselves. Advocates may feel that they aren't allowed to rest until they've achieved their unique visions of success, but this mindset could lead to stress and burnout. If this happens, people with this personality type may find themselves feeling uncharacteristically ill-tempered. Advocates might find themselves feeling especially stressed in the face of conflict and criticism. These personalities tend to act with the best of intentions, and it can frustrate them when others don't appreciate this. At times when constructive criticism may feel deeply personal or hurtful to advocates. I know this is probably very vague, but honestly, I don't know why, but this feels very accurate. A personal mission. Many advocates feel compelled to find a mission for their lives. When they encounter iniquity or unfairness, they tend to think, how can I fix this? They are well suited to support a movement to right a wrong, no matter how big or small. Advocates just need to remember that while they're busy taking care of the world, they need to take care of themselves too. That is very true. Strengths and weaknesses. Let's see what this says about my strengths and weaknesses, if any at all. Strengths, not weaknesses. Meant to say strengths, if I have any strengths at all. I didn't mean to sound narcissistic there. I am so sorry. God damn it. Strengths and weaknesses. Advocate strengths. Creative. Advocate personalities enjoy finding the perfect solution for the people they care about. Stuffy nose. To do this, they draw on their vivid imagination and their strong sense of compassion. This can make them excellent counselors and advisors. Insightful. Advocates typically strive to move past appearances and get to the heart of things. This can give them an almost uncanny ability to understand people's true motives, feelings, and needs. Principled. People with the advocate personality type tend to have deeply held beliefs, and their conviction often shines through when they speak or write about subjects that matter to them. Advocates can be compelling and inspiring communicators with their idealism, persuading that even the hardest of skeptics. Damn. Passionate. Advocates can pursue their ideals with a single-mindedness that can catch others off guard. Their personalities rarely settle for good enough, and their willingness to disrupt the status quo may not please everyone. You can never please everyone. That said, advocates' passion for their chosen cause is a key aspect of their personality. Altruistic. Advocates generally aim to use their strengths for the greater good. They really enjoy succeeding at other people's expenses. They tend to think about how their actions affect others, and their goal is to behave in a way that will help the people around them and make the world a better place. Advocate weaknesses. Sensitive to criticism, unfortunately. When someone challenges their principles or values, advocates may react strongly. People with this personality type can become defensive in the face of criticism and conflict, particularly when it comes to issues that are near to their hearts. Unfortunately, that's why that is true for me. Again, that's why I usually have to take like a broad assessment and a broad like view of it, like take a few steps back and try to think before I let my feelings get to me. I really wish that I could take criticism well, but I don't hate it. I don't absolutely hate it, like this says, but sometimes there are some criticisms that I'm just like, that cause me to think, am I really good at what I do? Should I rethink how I'm doing this? I mean, not that thinking how you should do something is a bad thing, but just like sometimes I can doubt myself and doubt that I'm doing anything right, when in reality, criticism is the most important thing we have sometimes. Reluctant to open up. Advocates value honesty, but they are also private. They may find it difficult to open up and be vulnerable about their struggles. This might also be because they think they need to solve their problems on their own, or don't want to burden other people with their issues. When advocates don't ask for help, they may inadvertently hold themselves back or create distance with their relationships. Yeah, I'm always very nervous when it comes to like asking for help. Trying to move past that, but still, that feeling is always going to be there. Perfectionistic. The advocate personality type is all but defined by idealism. While this is a wonderful quality in many ways, an ideal situation is not always possible. Advocates might find it difficult to appreciate their jobs, living situations, or relationships if they're continually fixating on imperfections and wondering whether they should be looking for something better. That is very true when it comes to like me and, again, my hobbies like art and video making, because there's always this one aspect like that I always tend to fixate on. Like before Hype Swap episode 3, there was like always problems with the audio. I could never figure out what the fuck was wrong with it, and I would always be like, oh god, that sucks. But at the same time, I'm just like, okay, how can I fix it? Problems like that, it's no problem, but like even my conditions when it comes to like making videos, like living with my family, I love them dearly in my heart, but honestly, when it comes to recording videos and living in the same house as they do, well, okay, not living in the same house they do, but recording videos in the house that they live in, there are always going to be some things that always like cause friction. Like for example, when I record videos, I like to be rowdy, I like to be energetic, but I'm also a bit of a night owl. So in order to do videos like this at all, especially if I wake up really late, I have to make sure that I record them before it gets late, like when everyone is asleep. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to do anything when it comes to videos. No recording, well, I guess I can do editing and thumbnails, but recording specifically, the bit that I really want to do the most because of how little I do it in the first place, I can't do at night. But I usually do a lot of my productive stuff at night. Which is why I'm buying the shed, but that's a bit of a steep task. This was a long walk for a short glass of water, but my point is, I agree with this. I definitely like this a lot of the time. Avoiding the ordinary. Advocates' personalities tend to be motivated by a sense of having a greater purpose in life. They might consider it tedious or unnecessary to break their big visions into small, manageable steps. Oh my god, that is so fucking true. But they may be setting themselves up for frustration if they don't turn their dreams into everyday routines and to-do lists. Without these specifics, their goals may never materialize. Yeah, that is so true! This has happened to me several times! Like, when I was younger, I wanted to make a game, but I never really considered all the stuff like how RPG Maker works, which is the engine I wanted to use to make the game in the first place. Stuff like the story, the event stuff, how the engine works, character design, stuff like that. all of that stuff I never broke into individual things that I should learn. So whenever I actually tried doing it, I didn't get past like the first screen. Well, okay, I did get past the first screen, but that was based off of something else that was boiling in the back of my mind. I couldn't finish the first area completely. First screen, yes. But anything past that was either half-baked, or I just couldn't figure it the fuck out because I didn't bother to learn how RPG Maker works, or even what I wanted out of the game. And even right now, I still want to make games, but I know that I have to learn about the engine, learning about development, like coding, like C++ and stuff like that, learning the music, learning art, or even getting other people to help me out with it. There's so much nuances that you need to learn and need to take in individual steps that I just think is so tedious. And that's my biggest obstacle when it comes to this stuff. Like video making, I learned on my own, but that just set myself up for frustration at some point, so I had to learn stuff like how to fix the audio. Again, before Act 2, Part 3, the audio was shit, and I didn't know how to fix it. And when I made the End is Nigh video, I wanted to learn how to fix that. It just really messed up my flow sometimes. Thankfully, I am glad that I continued to keep doing it, and I eventually put my foot down and said, okay, I need to learn how to do these things properly. Still, that is the biggest roadblock when it comes to any of my goals. Hell, sometimes those smaller steps for that one goal require even more smaller steps. It's just, wow. Yeah, Jesus. But they may be seeing some frustration if they don't turn their to-do list without these specific goals and we never... Yeah, I already finished reading this. Prone to burnout. Advocates' perfectionism and reserve may leave them with a few options for letting them off steam. People with this personality type can exhaust themselves if they don't find a way to balance their drive to help others with necessary self-care and rest. Yeah, that is definitely true. Especially, again, when it comes to making art. Remember how I said some smaller steps in a broad goal require even more smaller steps? Making the thumbnails is one of them. I probably would have been fine if I just continued doing the fucking Photoshop thing like I used to do. But ever since I wanted to try doing art, another completely different thing, for the thumbnails, for this hobby that I'm already doing right now, I refuse to call it a job until I actually make it a job, but you get my point. But doing art for the thumbnails, art requires its own special set of small steps. So, while I was making the Act 2 Part 1 thumbnail, it took me so fucking long to actually get it done because I didn't know what the hell I wanted out from it. Specifically because of the situation. Now, at first, the thumbnail was originally going to be, like the Pillbug, my persona, me with the Pillbug hoodie, like checking out the hoodie he has, while Joey and Zephyros like hang out with Deer Cat in the background. But I wasn't really good at perspective stuff. I still was practicing perspective stuff, and I was always like focusing on the finite details. So that I eventually scrapped the concept and just went with the explosion bit. That also affected the title as well. Sorry if this is just a lot of talking. Romantic relationships. Let's see what this test thinks I see in other people. Advocates tend to take the process of finding a romantic partner seriously. People with this personality type look for depth and meaning in their relationships, preferring not to settle for a match that's founded on anything else than true love. Definitely true in my case, but then again, at the same time, as of recent events, I'm not exactly interested in finding a romantic partner. I doubt I ever will. Who knows, honestly. It can take time for advocates to find a compatible partner. Some people might think advocates are too choosy, and it's true that these personalities can have unrealistic expectations. Some advocates might hold out for a perfect partner or relationship that ultimately doesn't exist. And at other times, they just don't really have any interest in romance at all. That said, Advocates' idealism is, if balanced with just enough realism, can actually enhance their loves' lives. Advocate personalities tend to be in touch with their core values, so they care about compatibility as well as surface-level attraction. This can help them avoid matches that aren't founded on authenticity or shared principles. Once advocates do find a suitable relationship, they really take it for granted. Instead, they tend to look for ways to grow as an individual and strengthen their connection with their partner. This can help advocates' relationships reach a level of depth that sincerity of which many people can only dream of. Honestly, when it comes to my queer platonic partner, that is definitely true. It may not be a romantic one like this quiz says, but it's still a relationship that I hold near and dear. And I will try anything in my power to make sure that I'm able to grow and feel more connected to them above anything else. Is this for real? Advocates care about integrity, and they tend to bristle when people try to change them or talk them into something that they don't believe. As a result, advocate personalities gravitate towards partners who appreciate them as they are. And there's a great deal to appreciate about advocates. They're warm, caring, and honest, and insightful, with an ability to see truth that lies beneath surface appearances. People with this personality type create a depth to their relationships that can hardly be described in conventional terms. Excuse me. Because of their sensitivity and insight, advocates can make their partners feel heard and understood in beautiful ways. Really? Damn. Advocates aren't afraid to express their love and feel it unconditionally. True. One of the things advocates find most important is establishing genuine, deep connection with people they care about. Advocates tend to recognize that love isn't a passive emotion, but rather an opportunity to grow and learn. They expect their partners to share this mindset. As a result, relationships with advocates are not for the uncommitted or the shallow. When it comes to intimacy, advocates can be incredibly passionate in ways that go beyond the physical. People with this personality type crave an emotional and even spiritual connection with their partner. They cherish not just the act of being in a relationship, but also what it means to become one with another person in mind, body, and soul. Well, damn. This is really interesting. I never thought of myself that highly, honestly. I don't hate myself. Just to be clear, I don't hate myself. But I try to make sure I don't get a big head, you know? I try to make sure I'm not like, oh yeah, I'm so great. I try to make sure I'm more realistic. But sometimes I can lead that, but again, sometimes that's to a fault. Advocates have a deep desire for authenticity and sincerity in everything they do, from their daily activities to their relationships. As a result, people with this personality type rarely settle for relationships or convenience. Rather than rely on superficial interactions with people they see every day at work or school, they generally prefer to have a close circle of confidants. True. Advocates tend to light up around friends who share their passions, interests, and beliefs. Few things give them these personalities more pleasure than connecting with others, over discussions about meaningful ideas and philosophies. Once advocates know they can trust someone completely, they find it incredibly fulfilling to share their innermost thoughts, ideas, and feelings with them. That's sweet. Searching for a heart of gold. Just as advocates... I am off frame, I'm sorry. Just as advocates have high standards for themselves, they also have high standards for their friendships. They want to feel compatible with their friends on a deep level. In addition, advocates' personalities generally want to surround themselves with people who inspire them to grow and improve. Most advocates don't just want to have fun with their friends, they also want to learn new things, make new discoveries, and deepen their bonds. True. This is a tall order, and advocates may feel that it's difficult to meet the sort of friends they're searching for, because advocates are a rare personality type. They meet relatively few people who really remind them of themselves. As a result, they may feel as if they need to settle for less than fulfilling friendships, or else accept being alone. Somewhat true. I honestly don't really think that's the case, but then again, I do have a lot of online friends. So who knows, I might be just talking out of my ass. Fortunately, advocates are more than capable of finding the types of friends they long to meet. They might just have to use their intuition to do so. In their quiet, understanding way, advocates' personalities types have a knack of seeing beyond appearances and understanding people's deeper natures. They can use this ability to move past first impressions and figure out whether someone's interests, values, and attitudes might be compatible with their own. I'm sorry if my way of reading this annoys anyone. Then again, I have been reading a lot of visual novels and games that require a lot of text as of recently, so I don't know, might be a little too late. By doing this, advocates can befriend people who might seem totally different from them, but who are compatible on a deeper level. In friendship, it's as though advocates are searching for a soulmate, someone who shares every facet of their passions and imaginations. Loyalty and authenticity. Advocates have a quiet determination that can be quite charismatic, and their ability to express themselves clearly and passionately can make them truly shine. At times, these traits may lead to unwanted attention and popularity for advocates, who tend to be private. Advocates may sometimes find themselves surrounded by people who want to impress them. Paradoxically, this can make it more difficult for people with this personality type to find friends with whom they feel a connection. After all, the only way to be counted among advocates as true friends is to be authentic, honest, and real. That is definitely true when it comes to me and my friends. I want to make sure that they're not just doing it to impress me or just to gain anything from me. I want to make sure that they actually, that they actually want to be friends for me, rather than whatever fucking stuff I have, or my talents, or whatever the fuck. Once they do find genuine friends, people with the advocate personality type make loyal and caring companions. With their trademark warmth and enthusiasm, they support their friends' efforts to grow and expand their lives. In general, advocate personalities don't require a great deal of day-to-day attention from their friends. For them, quality trumps quantity, and that includes the time they spend with their nearest and dearest. As trust grows, advocates tend to share more of their inner lives with their friends. If these revelations are met with acceptance and support, this can herald the sort of friendship that transcends time and distance, lasting a lifetime. Over the years, advocates may end up with just a few true friends rather than a wide circle of casual acquaintances, but as long as those friendships are built on a richness of mutual understanding, advocates wouldn't have it any other way. That is definitely true. Alright, what does it say about me if I had kids? Not that I'm gonna have kids. I highly doubt I'm ever gonna have kids ever. Though I might look at this in a few years back and think, wow, I was such an idiot for saying that. But I don't see myself having kids. God damn it, this fucking stuffy nose is really bothering me. There's a clip for your out of context clip videos. As parents, advocates tend to look at their relationships with their children as opportunities to learn and grow with someone they care about. These personality types also work to achieve another important goal: raising their children to be independent and all-around good people. Advocate parents generally try to be devoted and loving towards their children at all times. As they imagine their children's futures, what advocates really look forward to is being able to interact and connect as equals with the people they helped raise. Be unique, just like me. As their children grow, advocates may unconsciously project a great deal of their own beliefs onto them. People with personality types often expect their children to demonstrate the same integrity and honesty that they expect from themselves. At the same time, advocate personalities may also push their children to think independently, make their own choices, and develop their own beliefs. Depending on the child's development stage and temperament, they might find these expectations confusing or stressful, even though their advocate parents have the best intentions. Okay, that's honestly more true than I'm willing to admit. If all this independence is taken to heart, it can cause some trouble for advocate parents as their children move into the more rebellious phase of adolescence. This is especially true if their children choose beliefs that go against their values as advocate parents. In this situation, advocates may feel as if their children are criticizing or rejecting them, a hurtful thing to such a sensitive personality type. And that's why I won't have children, because if that happened, I honestly would be a terrible father in that department. A job well done. Ultimately, advocate parents tend to realize that it isn't a sign of failure if their turn out differently than they'd expected. Instead, they come to see this as a sign that they've successfully helped raise someone who has the ability to form their own ideals. Aww. Advocates as children often come to appreciate the combination of independence and integrity with which they were raised, especially as they get older. Advocates strive to make sure their children grow up to a firm understanding of difference between right and wrong. Parents with this personality type encourage their children to fight for a cause they believe in and to be the best they can be. Whatever age their children might be, advocates can find a great deal of fulfillment and meaning simply in helping their children learn to be true to themselves. Nice. So what about career paths? What do you think that I would want to do as a job? I want to do YouTube. That's the actual answer. But what does this quiz say? Advocates tend to seek the career path that aligns with their values rather than one that offers status and material gain. Fortunately, people with this personality type are able to find work that suits them in just about any field. In fact, many advocates can have trouble deciding which job is best for them because they're able to imagine so many possibilities. Their personalities may see 10 wildly different paths forward, each with its own set of rewards. This can be exciting, but also stress-inducing, because picking just one means letting go of many others. Nah, dang. True beauty and purpose. A truth, beauty, purpose. Advocates want to find meaning in their work and know that they are helping and connecting with people. This desire to help and connect can make roles as counselors, psychologists, I almost pronounced the P as a PH, teachers, social workers, yoga instructors, and spiritual leaders. Very rewarding for advocates. Careers in healthcare, especially with more holistic varieties, can also be attractive options for those personality types. Would YouTube count as one of those things? Because even if you are just the internet funny man that just tries to make people laugh, at the end of the day, some YouTubers like Jack, Mark, Pews, and several others that I could mention do make an impact on other people's lives, whether they know it or not. I don't know if that's going to be the case for me. I have no fucking clue. But let's be honest, if someone out there likes my content, who am I to judge them? Many advocates are also strong communicators. This explains why they are often drawn to careers in writing, authoring, many popular books, blogs, stories, and screenplays. Music, photography, design, and art can all be viable options as well, allowing advocates to focus on deeper themes of personal growth and purpose. And that said, advocates can excel in a range of fields. Hold up. Excuse me. Whether they work, people with this personality type can find ways to help others. Wherever they work, people with this personality type can find ways to help others. I almost said whether they work. Well, I did, but I almost didn't catch it. They can also find ways to use their creativity in nearly any position, no matter what it says on their business card. Advocates' insight can enable them to spot unusual patterns and come up with out-of-the-box solutions, creating real changes in others' lives. Honestly, I can say that that's true. For advocates, money and employee of the month simply won't cut it. These personalities want a career that fits their values and principles. Two roads diverge in a yellow wood. Follow the yellow wood road. Advocates may be hard to meet in some work environments, especially those that offer little independence and agency. Advocate personalities are sometimes drawn to behind the scenes and non-competitive roles, but these jobs can lead to frustration if they don't allow advocates to act as they see fit, grow as individuals, and make a difference. For this reason, people with the advocate personality type may feel fulfilled by seeking out leadership positions or by starting their own business. By finding jobs that offer more autonomy, advocates can focus on applying their creativity and integrity to seemingly disparate professional fields. For example, by writing about physiology or by being an environmental lawyer. These hybrid careers can offer plenty of opportunities for advocates to exercise their creativity and their love of learning. Where advocates struggle in this work that doesn't take personal needs into consideration is overly repetitious or promotes conflict. Jobs with these characteristics can leave advocates frustrated and unfulfilled. People with this personality type may also chafe at the criticism and pressure that come with cutthroat competitive work environments. Yeah. When it comes to my job at Papa John's, a sense of mission. In truth, advocates' personalities can do well in any field to be truly happy. However, they need to find a work that aligns with their values and allows them some independence. Advocates crave opportunities to learn and grow alongside the people they are helping. When this happens, advocates can finally see as if they are fulfilling their life's mission, contributing to the well-being of humanity on a personal level. Workplace habits. Advocates have some specific needs when it comes to a satisfying work environment. Ow, my ass! People with this personality type want to know that their work helps and people and promotes their own personal growth. This means that their work must be in line with their values, principles, and beliefs. That's kind of true to why I decided to try and pursue YouTube as a career path. Not when I first started, because when I first started, it was only because of, one, peer pressure from an old friend who we're not friends with anymore, and two, because I heard it gets a lot of monetary gain. Yeah, when I was in junior high, I was very desperate to find a job so I can get money to purchase my own things. Thankfully, I no longer have that mindset when it comes to my YouTube stuff, but when I first started, God, I still kick myself sometimes whenever I remember that. It just, God. Thankfully, after making a few videos, my common sense kicked in, and I realized that if I tried to think about the money, I'm not going to enjoy this at all. But it's just, God, it took way longer than I wanted to get to that point. It sucked. I really wish I got to that mindset sooner, but yeah, I'm past that now, thankfully. But just, again, I still kick myself every time I remember that. In the workplace, I almost forgot to mention the real reason why I decided to... I completely cut off an entire sentence because I was frustrated at myself because I remembered why I started in the first place when I was really young. Why I continued it, though? Well, I still... Despite the whole money thing kind of clouding my judgment, I still had fun doing this. And after seeing the impact of what other people have had on, and after seeing what other people, other creators impact, and after seeing the impact that other creators had on the platform, I thought, maybe I do want to do that, because even if I'm not going to make money for this, if at least one person likes the stuff I do, I want to do it for that one person. To make them smile, to make them forget about their day, to just let them enjoy themselves. Alright, my journey on YouTube rant over now, so let's just continue with reading this shit. In the workplace, advocates tend to thrive when they have opportunities to express their creativity and insight, and they're especially motivated when they know that what you're doing has meaning. They also tend to do best when they can ignore workplace politics and how do you pronounce this? Hierarchy. They also do their best tend to do the best when they can ignore workplace politics and hierarchies and simply do what matters to them. I agree. When everyone fucking keeps complaining about their job, sometimes whenever I complain about my job, when it comes to the hierarchy and the politics, it's just so draining. Most people with this personality type prefer not to think of themselves as above or below anyone else, no matter where they are on the job ladder. Fortunately, advocates are resourceful and creative, and they can find ways to make nearly any position work for them. Advocate subordinates. Advocates value cooperation, sensitivity, and independence. As employees, they tend to gravitate towards managers who are open-minded and willing to consider their input. advocate personalities may become frustrated when they feel unheard, so having a manager who listens to them can make all the difference. Yeah, that's probably one of the reasons why my job was going downhill, because after my manager was moved to another location, he quit, and I was stuck with a not agreeable person. I'm going to be following Tomska's law in this case, because I really... Ideally, advocates who also find a manager whose values align with their own and who offers them encouragement and praise. Because advocates tend to act on their convictions and aim to do their best, their moral can be vulnerable to criticism, particularly if it's unwarranted. Other moral killers for these personalities may include strict rules, formal structures, and routine tasks. Yeah, I hate that shit. Of course, a perfect work environment isn't always possible. Advocate employees with less than ideal managers may need to draw on their inner resilience and seek out other mentors. The good news is that people with this personality type are more than capable of handling workplace challenges, including the challenge of having a difficult manager. Yeah. Despite not liking him, he's still my boss and I still want to get money. Advocate... I'm always off frame for this episode, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna lay here, my ass is killing me. Advocate colleagues, as colleagues, god damn it. Fuck. As colleagues, advocates can be quite popular and well respected. People with this personality type are likely to be seen as positive, eloquent, and capable workers. Amongst their greatest strengths is their ability to identify others' motivations and diffuse conflicts and tensions before anyone else even senses a disturbance. At times, efficiency may be less of a priority for advocates than collaborating with and helping colleagues who need a boost. While this is usually a strength, there is a risk that others may take advantage of the desire to help. Advocates may find themselves picking up the slack for the less dedicated co-workers at the expense of their own energy and well-being. Unless, again, for me, it's like I need a balance between someone who's nice and a person who's competent. You can be nice all you want, but if you're absolutely horrible, it's just... Yeah, but if you're not nice at all while still being confident, I don't give a shit. You're still an asshole and I still don't like you. I'd rather work with someone else. Where was I? Yeah, I already read this. Although they tend to be warm and approachable colleagues, advocates are still introverts. From time to time, they may need to step back and work alone, pursuing their own goals in their own ways. As managers, advocates may dislike wielding their power. These personalities prefer to see those who work under them as equals, rather than micromanage their subordinates. Advocates often prefer to empower them to think and act independently. They work hard to encourage others, not to crack the whip. And that's not to say advocates have low standards, far from it. Their sense of equality means that they expect their subordinates to live up to the standards that they set for themselves. Advocates' personalities want their employees to be rigorous, motivated, reliable, and unfailingly honest, and they will notice if their employees miss the mark. Compassionate and fair, advocate managers often take pride in identifying their subordinates' unique strengths. They make an effort to understand their employees' motivations, an effort that is helped by advocates' intuitive insights. That said, people with the personality type can be quite stern if they catch someone behaving in a way that they consider unethical. Advocates have little tolerance for lapses in reliability or morality. When their employees' good intentions match their own, however, advocates will work tirelessly to ensure that their entire team feels valued and fulfilled. True. I don't like working the manager or leadership, but if I have to, I will try to make sure everyone feels like they're equal rather than just another person on the social ladder. Another rung. Conclusion: few personality types are as passionate and enigmatic as advocates. As someone with this personality type, you stand out for your imagination, your compassion, your integrity, and your deeply held principles. Unlike many others idealistic types, however, you are capable of turning your ideals into plans and executing them. Yet advocates face challenges too. Even the most idealistic and dedicated of the personality types can become frustrating when it comes to navigating interpersonal conflicts, confronting unpleasant facts, pursuing self-realization, or finding a fulfilling career path. Yeah, sometimes the stuff in real life can be icky, gross, and just make no sense. As a result, you may sometimes find yourself questioning who you really are and who you really meant to be. Way too true. What you have read so far is just an introduction, and it represents less than 5% of what we can tell you about the Advocate personality type. You may have muttered to yourself, wow, this is so accurate, it's creepy, or they know more about me than the people I'm closest to do. Than the people I'm closest to do. You may even be a little uncomfortable because you're not used to being so deeply understood. This is not a trick. You felt understood because you were. You spent years studying Advocates' life stories, experiences, and responses to hundreds of our surveys, step by step. Okay, but in order to do that, you need a roadmap that fits your needs. Life is too short to stumble around grasping and scattering contradictory advice that might work for 95% of the population, but not for you. We now need to go much deeper into the Advocate mind and answer why, how, and what if. Are you ready to learn why an Advocate? Wait a minute. Really? Okay, yeah, no, I'm not downloading the personal career. And actually, give me a second. Because I remember Jack also had a similar thing result when he did the test. I wanted to see what he actually got. I don't remember what he actually got to. I have a feeling he also got the same thing. I don't know. Let me just double check first. Oh, he got the campaigner. I got the Advocate. Okay. Like I said, he got a personality that was the same. That was in like the same color scheme group thing. What is this group called? I don't even fucking remember. Hold on a second. Yeah, he got one of the diplomats. Honestly, I was kind of scared I got the same thing as him whenever I did this, because I was like, did he get this? I don't remember if he got this. I remember it was the same color, but I don't know if it was the exact same thing. But no, he got campaigner. He got this lovely lady right here. At least I think they're a lady. I don't know their pronouns. Either way, very cool. That is very cool. I honestly thought that I would have gotten another thing in the Explorer category, like this stuff, which is what I got before when I took this, like, I don't even know how long ago, but damn. Like, damn. I changed a lot more than I thought I did. Still, that was very interesting. I'm really glad I did this. I don't know how to do outros, I'm sorry. But yeah, wow. I never really thought of myself as this. I guess I really am underestimating just how much I do. Again, I'm going to try and make sure I don't get a big head for it. Because that's the thing I'm always paranoid about when it comes to this stuff. When I'm praised, I'm going to get a big head. Yeah, I'll try and make sure I don't do that. But this was very interesting. I am glad I did this. I didn't think this would change that drastically. But wow. I changed way more drastically than I thought I would. Just wow. But yeah, I'm going to leave this episode here. If y'all want to take this quiz yourself, I'll leave a link in the description below so y'all can see who you are. But just take it with a grain of salt. These personality tests aren't always completely 100% accurate. So just be prepared, okay? But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. If you liked it, hit the like button down below. And I'll see you in the next episode of whatever the heck I make.